The call came at dusk. A nurse's voice, clipped and rehearsed. "Your daughter's been admitted." By the time I reached the hospital, my hands were steady though my chest burned. The kind of calm I'd learned to wear like armor. Two officers waited for me in the corridor. They didn't offer condolences. They asked me to follow. No explanations, no comfort. Just a long hallway that smelled of antiseptic and secrets. They led me to an empty room. White walls, one chair, a window that reflected my hollow face back at me. "Peek inside," one of them said, his tone low. Discreetly. I didn't ask why. Questions felt dangerous, so I obeyed. I leaned toward the door, pressed my hand against the cool metal, and peered through the narrow slit of glass. What I saw made my throat tighten, not from grief, but recognition. Because it wasn't just my daughter lying in that bed, it was the shadow bending over her, whispering something I wasn't meant to hear. And in that instant, I understood. The hospital hadn't just summoned me to my child's bedside. They had handed me the opening scene of a betrayal I had been too blind, or too trusting, to see. My wife's laugh echoed in my mind as I stared at the figure beside my daughter. A laugh I'd once mistaken for light. Now it felt like mockery. Her head bent low, hair brushing the sheets. Her words were too quiet for me to catch, but her posture wasn't one of fear or grief. It was ownership, possession. The police didn't explain. They didn't need to. That simple request, peek inside, discreetly, was its own confession. I replayed months, years of details I had ignored. Late-night calls, her phone screen flipping down the second I entered the room. The trips she said were for errands that stretched into hours. The way my daughter once asked, half asleep, "Why does mommy call someone else daddy when you're not home?" I had laughed it off, told myself children mishear things, told myself loyalty meant not doubting. But loyalty had turned me into a fool. As I watched her hand linger against my daughter's, something darker took root. Not rage, not sorrow, a calculation. A need to uncover the truth so precisely that she couldn't twist or run from it. I began quietly, methodically. I told her nothing, changed nothing. My mask never cracked. But while she slept, I checked her phone. Call logs, deleted texts, fragments of another man's voice saved in voicemails she thought erased. While she worked, I hired someone, quiet, discreet, to trace her movements, hotel receipts, lunches that stretched into late nights, a pattern of betrayal laid bare in ink and timestamps. I sent for a DNA kit under another name, swabbed my daughter's cheek when she slept, her breath shallow, innocent. A part of me prayed the numbers would align, that the shadow in that hospital room was nothing more than paranoia amplified by grief. But hope was a dying ember, and I knew it. Every day I carried myself as if nothing was unraveling beneath my skin. I kissed her cheek, I smiled in public, I held my daughter's hand, and inside I sharpened my silence like a blade. The envelope arrived on a gray morning, plain, unremarkable. Inside, numbers, percentages, cold, clinical truth. Probability of paternity, 0%. I read it once, then again. My hand didn't tremble, my breathing didn't falter. The storm inside me condensed into ice. That night, I waited until she poured her wine, until she leaned back on the couch, unguarded, her phone buzzing on the table beside her. I placed the report between us. No words, just paper sliding across wood. She blinked, laughed lightly, as if it were some bureaucratic mistake. Then her face cracked, panic flooding in, and she reached for excuses. "I can explain." But I didn't ask for explanations. I didn't raise my voice. I simply said, "I already know." And in the silence that followed, her world collapsed. I didn't rage. Rage would have given her power, shown her she still mattered. Instead, I dismantled her with calm precision. I revealed the surveillance, The messages, the photos, each one placed before her like evidence in a trial she could never win. Her face twisted, cycling between denial and despair. I watched it all with the detachment of a surgeon cutting away diseased flesh. I stayed quiet, I told her, because silence is stronger than screaming. Silence doesn't let you run. Her tears came then, but they slid off me like water against stone. "You've already lost," I whispered. "Not because I'm leaving, but because you'll wake every morning knowing I saw through you, and you couldn't see through me." Her sobs filled the room, and I walked away before they could stain me. People imagine heartbreak as fire. For me, it was ice. Clear, sharp, unforgiving. I didn't mourn her. I didn't mourn the life I thought we had. The only grief left in me was reserved for my daughter, innocent, tangled in lies she never asked for. But even that grief hardened into resolve. I would protect her, not from scraped knees or nightmares, but from the poison of her mother's deception. I didn't slam the door when I left. I didn't look back. I simply stepped into the night, free of illusions. And in that final, merciless clarity, I realized something simple and brutal. The betrayal hadn't destroyed me. It had remade me.